Go. Hello.
Welcome to Hong Kong.
Good to meet you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Hong Kong.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome to Hong Kong.
Thank you.
Hello. Welcome to Hong Kong.
Thank you very much.
Hi traders, it's Eddie here from TradeView. Welcome to episode 10 of Trading Talk. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of a different intro. As you can see, we were in Hong Kong last week. We had some great meetings and we did a workshop over there. The video is floating around on the site if you want to go have a look at some of the results that the students got. Overall, it was a really great experience and we're looking forward to going back again, probably in June. Now, for this episode of Trading Talk, I'm really excited because we're doing something that a lot of people have asked for. We're going to build using a higher time frame bias. So now with the time frames in EA Lab, it's really, really easy to do. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and until next week, all the best with your trading.
Hi traders, welcome to this episode of Trading Talk. I'm recording this one from the office and it's during business hours, so there's a lot of people in here and it's a little bit noisy, so I apologise for that. I'll try and edit it out later. Usually I do these ones from home. What we're going to show you today, I'm pretty excited, but first I'm going to go through our risk warning as always. Basically, TradeView is a corporate authorized rep of IC Markets. This presentation is provided for informational purposes only, so you should not take it as financial product advice. Also, with this model, this is a really, really good concept I'm going to show you today, but you need to do a little bit more to it, but you can use it in many different ways, as you'll see. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to work on setting a higher time frame bias. So basically, if we think that the market's going up overall, say from a daily time frame, then what we're going to do is we're going to only take long trades on the shorter time frame, say a 5 minute. So a lot of people have asked for this, and now with the time frames in EA Lab, it's very, very easy to do. So I built this model in about 15 minutes. I've already built it and I'll run through. I think it's a bit easier that way, but I'll open up each block so you can see it and you can build it yourself. If you have EA Lab, if you don't have EA Lab, you should do an intermediate workshop and then you will have it. Alright, so I'll bring up the charts. Alright, now today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the rules from Trading Talk episode 1, which was a mean reversion strategy using some Bollinger Bands, and we're going to use them to create a bias. So if you don't know what a bias is, basically the way it works is that if on a higher time frame, say the daily, as you can see here, we think the markets are going to rally, then what we can do, for example, is any trades we open, we can open just long trades on the smaller time frame. So, or we can change the stop loss and take profit parameters according to the bias. So what we're going to do today, we're just going to open long trades to keep it simple. So we're going to use the rules, like I said, from episode 1 to create the bias, and then if the bias is long, then we're only going to open long trades. So if you remember the rules from the first episode, what we were looking for was a bar to close below the bottom Bollinger Band. This is just for the long side only. We'll just build long only today. And then the next bar closes inside the Bollinger Band, then we buy. So instead of buying, what we're going to do is, if that occurs on the daily time frame, we're going to set the bias to long. So we're only going to open long trades on the shorter time frame once that event has occurred. And then from the first episode, what we were doing was we were exiting our trades when a bar closed above the middle band. So it's either going to be this one, it looks like it might have, but maybe not, or this one. So instead of exiting the trades, what we're going to do is we're going to switch the bias back to neutral. So we're not going to open any more long trades. Okay, and with the trades on the shorter time frame, which is going to be a 5 minute, what we're going to do, the rule will be this. So we're going to, I can use this daily as an example. We're going to enter here, and so it's the same rule. So we're going to enter when a bar closes below the lower band, and then the next bar closes above. So that will enter our trade on the 5 minute chart. And then we're going to set a take profit when the bar closes above the middle band on the 5 minute chart. And what we're going to do is, because we're expecting the market to rally on the higher time frame, like it has here, we're going to set a fairly wide stop. So we're going to set a stop of one average true range below the most recent bar that's closed above the previous bar. So I'll show you how that works. We're going to start it basically, hopefully I could draw a straight line here. It'll look something like this. Terrible at drawing straight lines. I'll make it a bit thicker. Okay, so the stop loss will look something like this. So initially we're going to set it one average true range below the lowest low of the last 5 bars, which would be this one. Call that about one average true range. And then what we're going to do, every time a bar closes above the previous bar, we're going to move it up to one average true range below that low. So none of these have done it. This one here has. So then we would move the stop up to somewhere like this. Then it's happened here again on the next bar, closed above this high. So we'll move it up like this. This one, no. This one, maybe. This one, definitely yes. So we'd move it up again here. This one, yes. And that would probably be it. So we'd either take profit on that last trade or get stopped out there. We've seen in that example take profit. So like that, we're giving it a fairly wide stop because that's the phone, sorry. Because on the higher time frame we're expecting it to rally. So there's no need to panic and close out all the trades on the lower time frame. I hope you understand that. If not, give me a call and I'll answer any questions for you. Alright, let's pull EA Lab in and have a look at the build. Alright, so here's EA Lab, and this is what the final version looks like. So what I've done here is I've built everything in functions. So this is a really good example as well of using functions, because it becomes very easy if you've got a problem or something doesn't work to find out which part isn't working and go and edit it. So let's have a look first. We'll have a look at setting the bias. So I'll pull that one out. I'll just right click to expand it. Okay, so if you haven't done functions before, I'll just briefly explain how they work. They're in here. You want this block called to do something, and then that's this block here. I called the name set long bias, and then all the instructions that you want it to do go inside the block. Once you've created instructions, right click and then create set long bias, and then what that does is that creates this block here, and this block here contains all these rules. If you change any rules in here, it will also automatically change them there. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so the first rule is, remember, I'll pull up my MT4. So the first rule was the bar needs to close to set the bias on the daily time frame, needs to close below the lower band, and then the next bar needs to close above. Alright, where's my lab? Okay, so we've built that there. So it said if the bar on the daily time frame closes less than the Bollinger Band on and the lower band on the daily time frame, and then if the bar on the daily time frame closes above, this is the next one, so if you guys are at this stage you know what shift 1 and 2 means, closes above the lower band, then what we're going to do is we're going to set the bias to 1. This bias is a variable that I created here. Okay, so you can just create variable bias. Alright, I think you guys probably know how to do that by now. Now I'll just show you one thing. So this is the new time frame. So time frames you can add to pretty much anything, indicators or bars. So to set a time frame you do this. You click on the little settings wheel and you can select optional inputs. So I'll just show you quickly. So we've got a bar. This is the normal bar block. So say if I don't do anything to it, the default is whichever chart you run the EA on. So it's the current chart. So if you want to change it from current, you need to do this. Click on the settings wheel. It can select optional inputs, time frame. See how that puts time frame in there, and then you can change that to daily. Close that. Now we're referencing the daily chart. We don't need that. Okay. So that's the long bias build. I'm sure you've screenshot that by now and you can build that. Pretty simple stuff. Okay, so we'll close this one down and I'll just put it over here. then what I need to do, okay, so I've created the long bias, so when this event here occurs, we're now entering long trades, okay? So what you could do is, I'm just doing it really simple, I'm only going to enter long trades if that event occurs, but you could still enter long trades without that event occurring, but you could modify the length of your stop loss, for example, or take profit when that event does occur. We'll just keep it simple today. Alright, so we've set the bias when this occurs. Now we need to end the bias when a bar closes above the middle Bollinger Band, so either this one or this one. So let's do that. Where are we? Okay. Here's end long bias. So you can see I've labelled them really simply. So if I need to find anything, or if there's a mistake, I know where it is. So the rules to end long bias are in here. Very simple. So if a bar closes above the middle band, the main, then set bias to 0. Very simple. So again, I've put the time frame on here, so the daily. Okay, so now my bias is 0. So once that event occurs, it won't take any more trades. All right, we'll go and collapse that one. Okay, now the next thing I've done is I want to know, because what's going to happen is I'm going to run this on a 5-minute chart, and I want to know when the bias is changing, because on MT4 you can only run and you can only test on one chart at a time. So either I would have to keep going back and looking when the bias changes manually, or what I can do, and what I have done, is I'm just going to comment on the chart when it changes the bias, so I know that the bias has changed. So where it will comment is just under here. Alright, so here's my comment function. So I'll just call it comment bias. So what I've said is, if the bias equals 1, so basically if we've switched it on, then what I'm going to do is comment long bias. So this comment block is in text. So it looks like this. You want this block here. It looks like that. And then you want this message block, and that's where you put the message in. So comment whatever you'd like. Okay, can enable those. There you go. So you just pop it in like that. Sorry, so this one here, see how it says print? You need it to say comment if you want it to comment. Print will put it in the journal. Alright. You can also do alert and print format. You can go and you can look them up there in the knowledge base. We'll get rid of those. Okay, pretty simple. So what that's going to do, that's going to comment long bias. I'll show you when that happens. Alright, so what I've done is I've now set the bias, and I need to set the entry on the lower time frame. So it looks like this. So this is the same rule from the first Trading Talk video. Can we see that? Okay, cool. So I've said, first off, if the bias is 1, so we're not going to enter any trades unless the bias is 1, which is long. And then if the bar closes, so this is the same rules as before, if the bar closes less than the band, lower band, and then closes above the lower band, then we're going to buy. Our stop loss is going to be the lowest low, so it's the lowest low, sorry, it's the low of the lowest low of the last 5 bars. Remember I explained before, which looks like this, so it's going to be, sorry, let me explain that again. Oh, I'm back. So it's going to be, okay, I haven't built this how I thought, but that's okay. So what it's going to be is it's going to start at the low of the lowest low on the daily time frame of the last 5 bars. So this is where the event occurs here, and then what it's going to do is it's going to find the lowest low of the last 5 bars, and that's where it's going to set the stop loss. So the event occurs here, the lowest low of the last 5 bars is there, so that's where our stop loss is going to start initially. So when I explained it before, I actually had it starting down here, so it was that minus 1 average daily range of the daily chart. So it won't really affect it for here because it won't get stopped out, but that's that was the rule when it was supposed to be. Okay, come back to EA Lab. And then the take profit we're putting as 0 because remember we're going to exit at the middle band here. So we don't want to take profit. And then to close the trade we need to create the rules. So we're going to say close the bar, close the trade, sorry. We're going to select all long and short orders. We can just say long actually. All long orders. And if the close of the bar is greater than the bands on the 5-minute chart or on the current chart, and if the order is in profit, so I'm only going to close profitable trades. I don't want to close them if they're not profitable. So if the order profit is greater than 0, i.e. it's profitable, then close the order. So what that's going to do is any long trade it opens in here, it's going to exit at the middle band of the 5-minute chart, but only if it's in profit. So pretty much any long trade I open in here up to here is going to be profitable. I'm not going to stop them out, let them get stopped out. I'm just going to trail this up. Okay. All right. Let's have a look. Cool. All right. That's the lower time frame entry. So you can see here I've done two things. So I've referenced, well, I've done a few things. I've referenced the bias, and then so the bias has to be 1, so it has to be long or it won't trade. I've given the rules to enter on the lower time frame, which is here. You can see this is the lower time frame because I haven't gone and added this time frame in. And then I've set for the stop loss. I've set it. I'm referencing the stop loss on the daily time frame because I want it to trail up under each day. And then I'm closing it here on the lower time frame. So you can see I haven't referenced a time frame here, which means current. Alright, so we'll collapse that. And then by the way, all these I just create and then they end up down here. Last part. Okay, so hang on, let's have a look. Well, busy, there you go. So this is my trailing. So this is what's really cool about EA Lab, right? So this trailing, I hadn't put it in before I started making this video. I thought I'm going to have to build that and think about it, and I thought, no, I don't have to think about it because I've actually built that trailing in here. I'll show you. So I'd built it in here, except I'd built the long and the short side, and then all I did was I just copied that out, and I just put it in here. No problem. Alright, so the way the trailing works is like this. So if the bar on the daily time frame closes above the previous bar's high, then and also it has to be in profit, so I'm not going to start trailing till the trade is in profit. That's how this bit works. I'll move it out. You can build that. One sec. Actually, do you know what I've done? I've actually made a mistake. I can't completely use this. I need to take some of this stuff out. I need to set something else. Alright, do you know what we might do? We might not trail it, but you understand how it works. And you know what? I'm going to trail it, but I'm going to have to build that and come back. So I'm going to stop this here, build it, I'll be back. Alright, I'm back, and guess what? It wasn't even that difficult to build. It literally only took about 3 minutes to figure that out and make the changes. For those of you who are looking at the clock and saying, Eddie, why is it now 10:59 PM? It's because I went home. It didn't take me 3 hours to do it. I promise. I'll show you what I did. So all I needed to do was I needed to change this variable here, and I just called it entry. I'll show you why in a second. The other variable I had in was specific to the other model that this function was sitting in. So I'll read through this and I'll explain how it works. So we're going to trail. I'll just demonstrate again how we're going to trail, so you understand. So we're going to start. I thought it started here, but that's not the way I built it. It doesn't matter for today. So we're going to have our stop here to start with, and you can see we don't get stopped out at all. And then when we get a close here above the previous day's high, then we're going to trail to 1 ADR below the low of this bar here. So the stop would stay here, and then when this event here occurs, it would move to, just guessing, let's just call it here, only if it's actually moving it closer. If it's not going to move it closer, it would just stay there. then it would go to this bar again when this closes above this high. Then I'm not sure, maybe that one closes above, and then definitely this one. So that's how the trailing is going to work. So I'll just read that out in the blocks. So we say that if the bar of shift 1, so the last closed bar, is greater than the high of the previous bar, as in here, the closed bar is greater than the high of the previous bar, the actual close. Okay. Then if the daily bar minus, I'll explain this. So we said if the daily bar minus an ATR trailing factor, the default is 1. I just use this from the other model so that I can optimize it later, but 1 is actually probably the right setting. So 1 ATR. So I'm saying 1 ATR of the daily period greater than the entry. So what I want to do, I'll just sort of explain. Okay. So basically what I want to do is I only want to trail a stop once the trade is in profit. So it has to, if I'm trailing this stop here, 1 ATR below the low of this bar, then the entry needs to be, say, somewhere down here. Otherwise I can't trail it. If the entry is up here somewhere, then no trailing the stop. Okay. Otherwise, what's going to happen is it's going to destroy the logic of the system. So we're only going to trail once it's in profit. Alright, and then what we're going to do is, so this bit is to actually move it up. So this is the condition for where we're going to move the stop loss. And then, oh no, hang on, so this is the condition that needs to occur, sorry. And then this is how we move the stop loss. So we take any long order that's in profit, they all should be in profit, and then we're going to modify it to basically the bar low minus 1 ATR. That's what that says. So I'm going to move that out. You can copy that if you haven't done it already, build it and try it. Now I'm going to show you where I reference this entry variable. So I'll just collapse that. You're going to need to change this if you've already built up to here so far, because I went and changed it. It's in, where is it? So it's in lower time frame entry. Okay, so all that I did that was different to when I opened this block last time is I've put this in. I've created the variable through here called entry, create variable, call it entry. And then I've said basically when we buy, I'm going to, at the same time as we buy, we're going to set a marker or variable, and we're going to call it entry, and we're going to set it to the bar close of shift 1. So all we're doing is basically at the point that we buy, we just set a marker so that we can reference that and we know that the price has now moved above that and the trade is in profit. So that's how we know that if the price is above that entry point, then we can trail the stop. Okay, so they're the only two things that are different. So if you haven't, you wouldn't have had this, you need to build that in. Alright, let's collapse that. And this is one of my new favorite things. If you right click and hit clean up blocks, it looks nice. Look, this whole model looks really nice. I'm pretty excited by this. If you've been building stuff for a while now and you haven't been using the functions, I definitely suggest having a go at using them. It's pretty easy, you can use them however you like, but basically you can see how I've done it there. So for each action I'm taking, I've just created a function. So if there's any mistakes, it's very easy to go and find where they are and fix them, and it just makes it a lot neater and gives you a much better workspace. Alright, so we're going to download that now, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, compile, close. Alright, we'll open MT4. Alright, strategy tester. Okay, where is it? It's called bias. Okay, we're testing on the Aussie dollar. Alright, we're in visual mode. So what I'm going to do, just to make this simple, I'm going to start testing it from here up to here, because what I want to do is I want to see if it actually changes the bias and if it prints, if it comments the change. I don't want to watch it through everything else. And we know it's not going to work on this downtrend because it's not built for that. You would have to build, well, those rules won't even do the other side. You have to build something else for that. So just here, I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Cool. So we've got here, so the bias is going to change at the close of this bar, which is the 27th of the 12th. So why don't I make it use date 27th of the 12th, 2016, and then it's going to go back to neutral at either the close of this bar. I'm just not sure if that actually does close above, or this one here. So let's make it this one, so we'll run it until here, which is the 12th of the 1st. Okay, 12th of the 1st. And what we're going to do, we're just going to see if the bias changes and that it sets the stop losses and everything correctly. And then we're going to use this skip to go somewhere near the end. So I'm going to go to the 10th of the 1st, 2016. Okay, I think that should be right. So let's see what happens. Okay, that doesn't work. Alright, no drama, problem solved. What was happening was I'd set it from 27th of the 12th, 2016 from till the 12th of the 1st, 2016. You can back test, but you can't go forwards and backwards in time at the same time. Changed it to 2017 and we are okay. So let's run that test now. So you'll notice we're running on the 5-minute chart because we need to run it on the current chart, which is a 5-minute, but the bias will be applied from the daily. So when I start this up, it will have no bias because we're going to start it at the start of this day here, and this day needs to end before the bias kicks in, basically, because you need the close below, close above. On the daily time frame, and then on the 5-minute time frame, just keep an eye out here. It should print long bias at the close of this bar. So the open of this bar. So when the time down here gets to, what's this say? 28th of December 2016. It should start saying long bias up here. Should keep long bias until either this bar closes or this bar. I'm just not sure which one closes above. And then it should have no bias and it won't take any more trades. So let's have a look. We'll start that up. Fingers crossed. What I'll do is I'll put in the period separators. So that was, this is the 27th. So at the next period separator, you should see here there's no long bias written, there's no comment. At the next period separator, which was the 28th, we should say long bias. Oh, there we go. Cool. Just there. Perfect. I'll just pause that. So see now here on the 28th, so you can see these are on the 28th. We've started the long bias because on the where is it? Here on the 28th, this is when we can start our long bias because we've had the close below and the close above. Cool. So now it can actually open up long trades. Let's keep watching. So we'll watch it place some trades. Okay, now the really cool thing here, you can play around with this, but remember we're not closing out any of the trades, so there's a very wide stop on the long side because overall we're expecting the market to rally. So if we're expecting the market to get from here to here, then unless we're overexposed, what's the point of closing any of the trades? So we're already expecting this on the daily time frame. Alright, so we'll go back, let it keep running. Okay, so we placed these trades. Wait. Okay, so that one got closed out because it was in profit. And then you can see where we've set the stops. So the stops are quite a way away. That one would have been for the first one. Actually, that would have been for all of them. So that's at the low of, that's set to, why don't we check? So the price is 71597 and it's going to be at the low of this bar. Let's have a look. 71598. There you go. 597, 598. There you go. Excellent. So that's where the stop's set, and then as it starts to move up, it should trail to below this one. Okay, we'll keep watching. You have to check, people, that it's doing the right thing, otherwise there's no point. Alright, so it's going to keep placing those trades. We'll just watch it. So it's closed out a few of those others. And this is where you got to really understand how your model works. So I know that if I look on that daily time frame, we'll let that run. I know if I look at that and the way I'm trailing the stops, it's not going to get stopped at all. So every single trade from here to here should be a profitable trade. Let's have a look. Why don't we just speed that up? We can have a look at the graph. There you go. So you will have these little periods of drawdown because remember we're giving it quite a wide stop, so that's to be expected. And then we would expect pretty much a straight equity curve because all the trades on the long side should be profitable. What you can actually do is you can still take some of the shorts and put a shorter stop on them, so you would expect some to get stopped out. And if the market does reverse, you're still in some short trades. This is just an example. Alright, so we'll let that go. Let's see if this I can make this skip 2 work. Hopefully this skips to the 10th of the 1st. Show you where the 10th of the 1st is. 10th of the 1st, what's the 9th? This is the 10th, so we're going to get the start of that. So if this one closes above, then it should take that long bias comment out of the corner, and it won't take any more trades. Let's see. Okay. So we've still got long bias. So when we get this next period separator, if that one closed above the middle band, then it should take the long bias off. If that one didn't, then it won't, and it will do it on the next one. Maybe I'll speed that up a bit. Okay, well that one mustn't have closed above, so it must happen on the next one. So just to check, the date here is the 11th, and we're still in a long bias. So this one here was the 10th, so we're now on the 11th. It's still in a long bias, so this one didn't actually close above the band. It's just it's a big thick band. Looks like it, but didn't. Alright, we'll keep going. If it doesn't take away that long bias though on the next one, then something's wrong with the logic, and I'll have to have a look. Again, you need to check every single bit of your system. So do you like how I do this live with you guys? I'll just show you that sometimes things don't work. Let's have a look. Oh, we've actually stopped there. We're going to need to run it one more day. Let's go from the 11th of the 1st, 2017 to the 13th. Yep, that should be cool. I'll make it the 14th just in case. Okay, hang on. Let's go from the 10th. Try again because it doesn't say long bias up there, so not sure. Let's have a look. Okay, and you know why that is. The reason it doesn't say long bias up here is because, if we go back here and have a look, the condition for setting the long bias was that this needed to occur. So you need to have the close below then close above. Because we're starting from a different date, that condition hasn't occurred. So what to do? We just have to, I'll just collapse that. We'll just have to go back and test from that other date. Alright, bear with me. Live TV, people, this happens. Live recorded. Alright, 27th of the 12th, 2016. I think that was it. Yep, cool. And then we'll skip to here. We could probably skip to the 11th. Okay. So we'll let that set the bias just to make sure. We can speed that up. Oh man. Alright, we'll let that set the bias, then I'll skip it. So we've got to wait for the period separator, then it should set the bias. Okay, cool. Long bias is set. We'll skip it to the 11th of the 1st. Okay. Now we're waiting for this long bias to disappear. So again, it should be... I've got a lot of windows open there. It should be then at the close of this one, which is... at the end of the 11th. It should, going into the 12th. We'll see. Where are we at? So this is the 12th. I think that should have closed it. So let me give it one more day. Alright. Oh, okay. Do you know what's happening? You can see it's not taking any trades, so that's correct, but I know what the problem is. Alright. Alright, cool. Watch me fix this live. So the problem is not with the bias. The bias is set correctly. So if we set the long bias, if we end the long bias, see, this is why it's handy to have these functions. What we're doing to end the long bias is we're having the bar close on the daily above the middle band, and then we're setting the bias to 0. So that's effectively ending the long bias, because in order to take the trades, where are we? Lower time frame entry. In order to take the trades, bias must be equal to 1. So if it's 0, it won't take any trades, which it wasn't doing, so that's okay. However, with the comment, what we've said is, if the bias is equal 1, if the bias equals 1, comment long bias. And then we haven't told it not to comment when a bias equals 0. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'll just duplicate this. Put it under here. So I'm going to say if bias equals 0, just comment no bias. No bias. Okay. That should be okay then. That will have actually made the change in there. I can collapse it. Download. Sorry this is dragging on a little bit, but hey, at least you get to see how it actually works. It doesn't always work, and then you have to fix things. Alright. We should be okay. Let's do that whole one again. So if we go, stop that. Also, here's a tip for you: don't have 1,000 visual windows open. We'll start this up. I'll let it set the bias. Okay, oh there you go, no bias. Cool. That's from the last one. See, no bias. Now long bias, excellent. Now we'll skip it through. And now we've got no bias again here. Let's watch it change just to make sure. So I'll move this back one date. Skip to the 10th. So we've got no bias from previously. His bias is equal to 0. So here's what you got to do with building your models. You just got to keep trying things until it works. And if there's a mistake, don't panic, just fix it. That's it. And the neater you make your model, the easier it is to fix. So we've changed to long bias now. Let's skip to the 10th. Okay, cool. Now on this next period separator, so we're still buying. Awesome. And the next period separator, we should change to no bias, and then it can't take any more buy trades. There you go, no bias. Excellent. Now let's have a look. Okay, so your conditions were met here. Close below, close above, and it's not trading anymore. So everything is correct. Fantastic. Let's skip it through to the end. Just speed it up. Let's have a look at the equity curve. I can guarantee you that the equity curve will go straight up with some drawdowns, just given that I've specifically built it for this. Before we have a look, let's just have a look at where this might go wrong. Okay, so here, what's going to happen is you're going to set your long bias here, and then you're going to get stopped out here. You might set it here or here. You're going to get stopped out here. Okay, and then here you're going to get in, and then if you set it 180, it wasn't supposed to be the lowest low of the last 5 bars. It was supposed to be lowest low minus 180R, but I didn't put that in. So you would set it down here, and then the same principle would apply. So you would have got stopped out on any trades there, and then all of these trades would have been profitable to here. Okay, let's have a look at another one. So here, closes below, closes above. All of these trades would have been profitable to there. Here, you wouldn't have got in here. You would have got in probably here. That looks like it's above, and then you would have set it. Your stop would have been about here somewhere. So any trades there would have got closed out there as a loss. Then you would have got back in here again. And then this is a cool one. So you would have made profit. You would have been trailing your stop up. Your stop would have been trailed to 180R below this one. You would have got stopped out here. So you would have lost some money there. And then you wouldn't have been able to get back in because this one didn't close above. You get the idea. So what you got to do is you got to build that, and you got to run it, see how it works, and really you've got to actually take some short trades. You just can't take all the longs, but it was easier to demonstrate that way. So like I said, I guarantee you 100% the equity curve goes straight up with some periods of drawdown. Let's have a look. There you go. Let's have a look at the report just for fun. So 2% drawdown. And I don't know why it didn't make so much money. Maybe because I skipped it through and it didn't take all the trades. Okay, that's alright. We took, where do we go here? Or maybe I'm trading at 10 cents per point. Yeah, probably. It's probably just that I'm trading at 10 cents per point. So that is why. Anyway, and that is how you build a long bias using EA Lab. Sorry this video went for such a long time and there was some, excuse me, mistakes in it. We've got some really cool stuff coming up at TradeView. So let me bring up the next slide and I'll tell you. PS, I've got a little bonus for you. So I'll tell you about the really cool stuff we're doing at TradeView in a second. Well, I'll tell you one of the really cool things we're doing. But what I thought I would do is, so have a think about this. So what we're doing is we're closing out our trades at the middle band on the lower time frame. And because we're expecting the markets to continue to rally or to get from this band to the middle band, why don't we actually set a little bit longer profit target? So why don't we set the upper band on the lower time frame? So here's your lower time frame. So still getting in here. Instead of getting out here, we'll get out when it closes above here. And we'll see what happens. So all I needed to do that, I just went here. I changed this mode from middle to upper because this is the conditions that close out the order, that close out the trade. So collapse that. I've already downloaded this. I actually had 2 goes. The first one I made a mistake. And now it's all good. So I'll run it through. I'll just run this one straight through. We know it all works. So graph obviously looks the same. But we were able to get a little bit more profit. Oh, the other thing that was wrong as well, I had the spread set to 100, way too big. 10 is fine. Okay, so I am trading at $1 per point, not 10 cents as I thought, sorry. So here, well, let's call that 3% on the account, yeah, with 2% drawdown. And if we have a look at how long that was over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10 days. So you would have added your 3% to your account in a couple of weeks, which is pretty good. Obviously, it's not going to work all the time, but hey, I would be happy with that couple of weeks trading. Alright, well, now I'm going to go and I'll bring up another slide, and I'll have a chat to you guys about some of the cool stuff we're doing, and hopefully you get as excited as I am and you get involved. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video on setting a higher time frame bias. Now, here is the really cool thing that I was talking about. So, let me pull it up. Alright, the TradeView Algo Conference 2017. So some of you might know we've been doing a conference at the end of year for the last couple of years, but this time we've really stepped it up a notch. We've got the World Trading Champion coming all the way from Italy. His name's Andrea Unga, 4-time World Trading Champion. You can look him up. And he's going to be sharing one of his automated models with us. So what we're going to do is we're going to be building his models in EA Lab. We've also got another fund manager from Melbourne who's managed 40 million, and he's going to be sharing one of his models and building it. And one of the guys at TradeView, maybe myself or Rob, will be sharing one of the models that we use as well. So 3 top-notch traders, including the world champion trader 4 times over, Andrea Unga, coming to Melbourne, full day. We'll be building 3 different models, and all the attendees will be building them with us using EA Lab. You'll get to take the model home, you'll get the code for it, and you'll understand how it works and everything, and you can run it for yourself. So I'm pretty excited about that. We've got 50 seats only available, so if you're interested, we're going to start officially promoting it in May, probably first week of May. We'll send some stuff out, but if you want to get in early and reserve your seat, give us a call. I'll give you the details in a sec. It's a paid conference, and we'll run through the pricing with you when you get in touch. So I'm pretty excited. Alright, here are my details. So you need a number to call me about the conference, or you can email me or get me on Skype there. That is all for today. Alright, I haven't got the last slide. That's all for today. Until next time, all the best with your trading, and thanks for watching.